On Killing, the Psychological Cost of Learning to Kill in War and Society is a 1995 book by Lt.Col Dave Grossman. Its aim is to explore the psychology of the act of killing and the military and law enforcement establishment's attempts to understand and deal with the consequences of killing. Grossman's argument, in a nutshell, is that in the old days of war, soldiers rarely fired their weapons out of some sort of distaste for killing. As the years progressed, firing and therefore killing rates increased due to changes in training, which trained the soldiers to dehumanize the enemy and ratchet up levels of aggression. The subsequent rise in the shooting and killing rate had the byproduct of a subsequent rise in PTSD rates amongst soldiers. He lays the rise in PTSD and difficulty with assimilation back into the civilian world in part to the rapidity with which soldiers are returned home. In years past, it took months to get home. Nowadays, it can take only days or hours. I've dithered a lot on making this review because I really didn't enjoy this book, but I can't seem to put my finger on exactly why. I'll say the good things first, and then just list off the things that left me feeling unfulfilled by the time I finished reading. So, the good stuff. Grossman works through his argument in a logical way, and he guides you through his argument by going from a wider statement or situation and then drilling down step by step. I've heard this referred to before as slicing the tomato or peeling the onion, and I think he did that well. He supplements this with images and charts here and there. The problem is, I think that his argument is built on a weak foundation. His main source is the work of Samuel Marshall, a US Army combat historian during World War II and the Korean War, and the trouble with this is that there are many doubts about the accuracy of Marshall's work. Grossman also says he interviewed hundreds of veterans during his work for the book, but there are relatively few quotes from these interviews, and when there is, they align precisely with the points he's trying to make. The book is also repetitive, with many quotes and phrases and passages repeated again and again throughout. It was to the point where I could close my eyes and quote the end of a sentence once I recognized certain parts. Then, after spending 90% of the book talking about the harshness of war and the detrimental effects combat can have on soldiers, Grossman takes what feels like a hard left turn, and the rest of the book is a rant against video games, TV, and movies. His theory being that just as exposure to realistic situations and training and time on the battle lines messes with the brains of soldiers, so too the brains of people who partake in entertainment that depicts violence will have the same effect. He goes on to extrapolate that if something's not done to curb this, then society will devolve into uncontrolled violence. A real stretch of an argument, if you ask me. I just found myself again and again raising an eyebrow as some line of reasoning didn't ring true, or the scent of the author's confirmation bias came to my bullshit meter. Books like War or Tribe by Sebastian Junger have dealt with the subject of the effects of war on soldiers in a much better way. And if I was recommending a book to someone who wanted to learn about this, one of those two books would be my recommendation, not On Killing. So like I said earlier, there wasn't one specific thing that made something not feel right about this, more a combination of smaller things that made me go, nah.